Welcome to the ET Considers Everything Sports Show for Monday, October the 29th, 2018. On this edition, we'll be taking a look back at the high school football weekend from this past weekend in Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky, along with taking a look back at the NCAA Top 25 action from last weekend and the NFL action from last week as well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look back at what took place last week. In Northeast Tennessee last week, you had Alcoa defeating Austin East 31-8. Bearden defeating Morristown West 42-19. You had Carter defeating Sevier County 27-9. You had Knox Central defeating Gibbs 46-0. West Green defeating Chucky Doak 24-21. Claiborne defeating North Green 34-6. Cloudland defeating Copper Basin 56-14. Cott County defeating Volunteer 54-31. Daniel Boone defeating Cherokee 42-15. David Crockett defeating Morristown East 50-14. Dobbins Bennett defeating Jefferson County 22-13. This is the first time that Dobbins Bennett will not be in the TSSAA playoffs since 1992. So a very interesting stat there for the Dobbins Bennett Indians. Farragut defeats Hardin Valley 28-0. Knox Fulton defeats Oak Ridge 21-13. Roane County defeats Gatlinburg Pittman 20-7. Union County defeating Granger 20-8. Greenville defeating Sullivan East 61-3. Knox Halls defeating Seymour 25-0. Hampton defeating Cosby 50-11. Happy Valley defeating South Green 21-0. Johnson County defeating Unicoi County 35-12. Knox Catholic defeating Lenoir City 42-0. Maryville defeating Bradley Central by a final score 42-14. We have Scott County defeating Pigeon Forge 24-7. Sullivan North losing a tough one to Sullivan South 36-0. Elizabethton defeating Sullivan Central 51-13. You had Unaka defeating Sunbright 24-8. And Knox West defeating Campbell County 35-12. All that action in Northeast Tennessee last week. Let's take a look at Southwest Virginia high school football action from last week. Abingdon defeating Union 35-17. Appomattox defeating Colonial Heights 24-0. Galax defeating Bland County 61-7. Radford defeating Carroll County 38-7. Central winning in overtime over Gate City 22-21. Chilhowie defeating Patrick Henry 46-23. That was a matchup of the top two in the Region 1D PowerPoint rankings. Holston defeating Eastside 52-36. Two games to be made up tonight. Grayson County at George Wythe along with Giles at Allegheny. Graham defeating Fort Chiswell 41-10. Grundy defeating Tazewell 36-22. Honaker defeating Northwood 55-23. J.I. Burton defeating Ryco 41-0. John Battle defeating Lehigh 20-14. Richlands defeating Lebanon 52-8. Virginia High defeating Marion 27-12. Pulaski County defeating Patrick Henry at Roanoke 56-19. Auburn defeating Rural Retreat 35-7. Salem defeating Hidden Valley 49-14. Thomas Walker defeating Twin Springs 35-12. And Ridgeview defeating Pike Central 47-14. That was all the scores from the penultimate week in Southwest Virginia. Of course, last week was the last week of the regular season in high school football for Northeast Tennessee and Southeast Kentucky. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the scores from last week in Southeast Kentucky. Johnson Central defeating Belfry 34-21. Bell County defeating Harlan County 46-26. Betsy Lane defeating Jenkins 48-8. Knott Central defeating Eastridge 41-0. Had Letcher Central defeating Floyd Central by a final score of 43-22. South Laurel defeating Harlan Independent 34-18. Hazard defeating Whitley County 24-21. North Laurel defeating Clay County 17-14. Perry Central defeating Prestonsburg 35-14. Pikeville defeating Tolsia, West Virginia 48-0. Shelby Valley defeating Boyd County 45-7. And those are all the scores that we have across Southeast Kentucky. So a big-time weekend of high school football action last week. Of course, coming up this weekend, it's the first week of the playoffs in Northeast Tennessee and Southeast Kentucky, and the final weekend of the regular season in high school football action in Southwest Virginia. I'll come back and talk about that here in just a few moments after I go over the college and NFL scores from this past weekend. In top 25 college football action from this past weekend, number 13 West Virginia defeating Baylor 58-14. Georgia Southern defeating number 25 Appalachian State 34-14. Number 23 Utah defeats UCLA 41-0. Number 2 Clemson all over Florida State by a final score of 59-10. Northwestern upsets number 20 Wisconsin 31-17. Number 7, Georgia defeats number 9, Florida, 36-17. Number 8, Oklahoma defeats Kansas State by a final score of 51-14. Number 17, Penn State defeats Iowa, 30-24. Number 21, South Florida goes down to Houston by a final score of 47-36. We have number 12, Kentucky defeating Missouri, 15-14. Number 15, Washington gets upset by California, 12-10. Number 14, Washington State defeats Stanford, 41-38. Mississippi State upsets number 16, Texas A&M, 28-13. Syracuse upsets number 22, NC State, 51-41. Oklahoma State upsets number 6, Texas, 38-35. Number 3, Notre Dame defeats Navy, 44-22. And Arizona upsets number 19 Oregon by a final score of 44-15. So a lot of upsets took place this past weekend in college football. The initial college football top 25 rankings will come out tomorrow on ESPN. That will be at 8 o'clock. Let's take a look at the NFL Week 8 action from this past weekend. Houston defeats Miami 42-23. Philadelphia defeats Jacksonville by a final score of 24-18. Chicago defeats the New York Jets 24-10. Cincinnati defeats Tampa Bay 37-34. Seattle defeats Detroit 28-14. Kansas City defeats Denver 30-23. Washington defeats the New York Giants 20-13. Pittsburgh defeats Cleveland 33-18. Carolina defeats Baltimore 31-26. Indianapolis defeats Oakland 42-28. The LA Rams defeat the Green Bay Packers 29-27. Arizona defeats San Francisco 18-15, and New Orleans defeats Minnesota on Sunday Night Football 30-20. Coming up tonight on Monday Night Football, it'll be the New England Patriots traveling up to what we used to know as Ralph Wilson Stadium, still is in my opinion, to take on the Buffalo Bills. Of course, coming up next weekend, got some great NFL games to come. Of course, the Green Bay Packers travel up to Gillette Stadium to take on the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football next week. Another big game, of course, is the New Orleans Saints taking on the LA Rams in a matchup of the NFC's top 2 teams, and much, much more to come. So it's going to be a great weekend of NFL action to come next week. Of course, highlighted in college football this upcoming weekend, it will be the SEC West, more than likely on the line, as number 4 LSU takes on number 1 Alabama. And the SEC East crown will be on the line, as, believe it or not, number 12 Kentucky takes on number 7 Georgia in a game that will more than likely determine the winner of the SEC East. So lots is on the line for the SEC this weekend, and many great games across college football as well, and we're definitely looking forward to all that action as well. Of course, coming up this weekend is the final weekend of high school football action here in Southwest Virginia, and many fans are wondering who are going to be the top seeds in the Region 1D and 2D PowerPoint rankings. Well, based on my calculations, and if anything has served me right, my calculations are not right all the time. It's looking like J.I. Burton, if they win this Friday night against Thomas Walker in the Cumberland District Championship game, that winner will more than likely be the 3 seed in the Region 1D playoffs. Now, if Patrick Henry were to go on to lose this week, they could potentially jump up to the number 2 seed. But Chilhowie has all but locked up the number 1 seed in the Region 1D playoffs. Now, in Region 2D, there's a lot of action to come. Grayson County making up their game tonight against George Wythe. If they win, it's going to be interesting to see how things will shape up there. Of course, Union going down at the hands of Abingdon last week in their game. That changed a lot in the PowerPoint rankings. If Ridgeview were to defeat Honaker this week and Grayson County win their final game and Graham win their final game, those will be more than likely your top 3 seeds in the Region 2D playoffs. Union is looking like they will be either the 3 seed or the 4 seed, depending on how things shake up. Of course, Union does have a big win over 6A Morristown West earlier in this season, going over to Morristown and defeating them. So that's a lot of power points for them. And Union's only 2 losses this year are to fellow 2D member Ridgeview and to 3D member Abingdon. And both of their losses are in the conference, and it is going to be very interesting to see how Union will shake up coming up in the playoffs. But they play John Battle this weekend. Of course, I mentioned earlier the Thomas Walker J.I. Burton game. That will be for the Cumberland District Championship. Central will take on Grundy coming up in a big-time matchup this week. Gabe Feaser has rushed for 2,183 rushing yards this year. That is already a school record, and his season is not complete. So definitely a big-time accomplishment there for Gabe Feaser. And it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see if Central can win their 3rd game in a row and could potentially sneak into the playoffs as Marion plays Graham this week on Friday. Of course, Gate City ends their season at 1-9. Their coach was fired today. Very interesting move there. Casey Yatz was all over that, and it'll be interesting to see who they get as their new head coach moving forward. Abingdon takes on Lehigh this week in Mountain 7 District play. Ridgeview takes on Honaker. Central takes on Grundy. Eastside will close their season out this week as well. So there's a lot of big games to come here in Southwest Virginia this week. But most people are going to be paying attention to where Union, J.I. Burton, Ridgeview, all of our local teams will be seeded for the upcoming state playoffs. Lots are going to be on the line there coming up this weekend, and we're going to be all over it for you, ladies and gentlemen. On 92.5 WLSD, it'll be the Union Bears traveling to John Battle to take on the John Battle Trojans. That game will be at 7 p.m. Pre-game will be at 6:45 with Dave Berry and Jacob Townsend. On our station, 93.5 WAXM, it will be the Cumberland District Championship as 7-2 Thomas Walker travels down to Lawson Fitchco Stadium to take on 7-2 J.I. Burton. And that game will be, I believe, at 7:30. Pre-game for that will be at 7 p.m. We'll keep you posted on those dates and times on our website, on Twitter at WAXM935, and on WAXM's Facebook page as well. We'll keep you posted on all those events coming up here this week, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, coming up Thursday night, it'll be Pigskin Picks at 8 p.m. It'll be Ben Allen, Mike Allen, Greg Chris, Ken Crowder, and Dave Barry. They'll take a look back at what took place this past weekend in high school football action, very similar to what I just done there a minute ago, and they'll go over the hot college football action that took place this weekend. Of course, coming up this Saturday for the UVA-Wise Highland Cavaliers, it will be Senior Day, as they will take on a tough test coming into Carl Smith Stadium. It will be the number 12 ranked Notre Dame College Fighting Falcons. It's going to be a very interesting game there. Notre Dame enters the game 9-0 and looks to finish out the regular season undefeated. They have already clinched the Mountain East Conference regular season championship and are now looking to go a perfect 10-0 in the conference as they take on the UVA-Wise Highland Cavaliers. UVA-Wise enters this game 3-5 overall, 3-5 in the Mountain East Conference. They had a bye week last week for the first time since the 2002 season. Last season, on that date, they took on Virginia Lynchburg and defeated them 65-0. Virginia didn't retain that series, so UVA-wise was off last week. So it's going to be a very interesting game coming up Saturday at Carl Smith Stadium. Looking forward to seeing the Notre Dame Falcons in action there, as potentially they could be a team in the Division II playoffs for the Mountain East Conference. Of course, this is the final season for UVA-wise in the Mountain East Conference, as they will move to the SAC starting next season. They will be in there with teams like Tusculum, Carson Newman, and teams of that nature. So it'll be a whole lot easier to make those trips, and it'll be very interesting to see how UVA-wise adapts to the new conference starting next season. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of the ET Considers Everything Sports Show for Monday, October 29th, 2018. If y'all don't mind, like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel known as ET Considers Everything. And as always, I'll keep you posted on everything across my social media platforms on Facebook and on Twitter as well. For now, ladies and gentlemen, my name is ET Eric Tyler Mullins. I will talk to you all again on the radio on 93.5 WAXM coming up Friday evening. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and good night.